This is the new Peugeot 3008. And you're probably thinking, wait a minute, it looks like the old 3008. Well, actually, they've done quite a few changes to the car. It's part of a midlife facelift. They've also changed some of the trims inside of it and introduced two new plug-in hybrid versions, one of which is all-wheel drive. Now, this is the kind of car you're probably considering if you're also looking at a Skoda Karoq or SEAT Ateca. So the starting price of the 3008 is £27,000, though this model I've got here is actually around £32,500. Thankfully though, you can save an average of £4,000 off a Peugeot 3008 through carwow. And if you click on the pop-out banner just up there, you can go to carwow to see how much you can save on one of these or any new car for that matter. If you want to watch this video first, then go check out carwow afterwards. Simply Google "Help Me Carwow" and me and my team will help you choose the right car for you and get it for a fair price from one of our trusted dealers.
Buying a new car? Then head to carwow and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start off this video by talking about the 3008's design and the changes Peugeot has made to it. So at the back, not much is different apart from some new tail lights, and here's a quick clip of them illuminated. Down the side you've got some new alloy wheel designs, starting at 17s, rising up to 19s. These are the mid-level 18s, which I think are big enough. The rest of the side of the car is the same as before, so you've got satiny roof bars and chromy bits here and here, make it look posh. At the front though, big change. Whole new front bumper, which gives it a different look. Also, you've got some new headlights and you get this fang effect here on high spec models like you have on the 2008. And here's a shot of that illuminated. I like the look of this car. It was always a good looking car, but I think they've made it even better. Now let's check out the inside. Well, it looks identical to what it was before. However, there are some new interior trims, like you can get wood in the door paneling and some bright red leather seats and stuff like that. So that's new. Also, there's a new infotainment screen on all but the entry-level car. So it's a little bit brighter and sharper than before. You've got some more connected facilities such as live traffic updates and stuff like that. Though, as ever, you're just going to hook your phone up and use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto instead of the infotainment system from Peugeot because it's merely average, really. Yeah, I prefer using my phone. In fact, if I'm brutally honest, I think the infotainment system you get on a Volkswagen Tiguan is slightly better. And if you click on the pop-out banner, in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. But that is the only area where I think the interior front cabin of the Tiguan is better than this, because this just looks so much more interesting. The Volkswagen, by comparison, is just an absolute yawn fest. I mean, look at this, all the surfaces and the shapes. And I actually think the material quality is better than the Tiguan. So look, squidgy material there, expensive feeding there, nice leatherette here. It's lovely, all feels pretty solid as well. It's great. Now, I like the driving position in this car. So there's plenty of adjustment in the seat, lots of headroom here in the front if you're tall. Some people, you might be one of them, may not get on with the actual position of the steering wheel, because you've got this little steering wheel that you have to look over to see the dials. Now, you get digital dials as standard and you have lots of different functionality with them and different views. But the fact is that depending on your body type, the top of the steering wheel can block part of your view for the dial. So it's important, in particular on this car, to test drive it to make sure it suits your driving position. Now, everything else about it is pretty sporty. You can see the way it wraps round you. It's really nice. I like the shape of this center console. I like these buttons up here as well, which are metallic and like organ keys. It's cool. In fact, the whole car is cool. Don't you think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, let's talk about storage. So underneath here, ooh, look. There's quite a lot of storage, and you've got a little tray here, and there's loads of room for stuff under here. Look, I can actually fit a huge bottle and then some in there. You've also got large door bins as well, look at that. And there's room for more bottles. And look here, you've got some cup holders, good for your cans, good for your big cup of coffee. What about your small cup of coffee though? Will it be too deep? No, look at that, it's fine. It means that you won't spill it when you're trying to get it out. There's a little storage tray here, which is perfect for your keys. I like to have somewhere to put the keys. And then there's a place for your mobile phone. On this car, I've got wireless charging. And beyond that, if you don't have wireless charging, you've got your USB and a 12-volt socket as well. All very practical and nice and cool. Check out the back seats. So, here in the rear, Knee room is all right for this kind of car. It's not class leading by any means. Headroom, that's good, though be warned, if you had the panoramic glass roof, it does reduce the headroom ever so slightly. Now, if you need to carry 3 people in the back of this car at once, it's not too much of a problem because look, you've got a completely flat floor, so there's plenty of room for everyone's feet. Though this middle seat is a little bit firm and it feels a bit narrower in here, I think, than a Skoda Karoq. That's a bit better for carrying 3 people at once in the back. And if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. If you need to carry a baby seat, well, the Isofix anchor points are just wedged in between the seats, but they're actually quite easy to get to. You just jam the whole base in there and it fits quite easily. And there's enough space in the back of here and the doors open wide enough to make it not too much of a problem, even when fitting one of those bulky rear-facing seats. In terms of other areas of practicality, you have some little nets on the back of the seats. The door bins here in the rear are large enough. Just get my bottle to illustrate. Look. Fits no problem at all. You have an armrest and some cup holders in there, though they are very shallow. Look at this. If someone accelerates or brakes quickly, your drink is going everywhere. If you need to carry longer items with 2 people sat either side, you can do, though this opening for through loading is quite small. Another thing that isn't great is this, look. Bollocks. Come on. Excuse my French, it's a French car. Rear windows don't quite go all the way down. But on the plus side, you've got a 12-volt socket there and then 2 USBs there. So there's enough outlets to charge everybody's mobile device. Let's move on to the boot. So for £400 extra, you can get a hands-free electrical tailgate. Wave your foot underneath the bumper and it opens, which is handy if you've got arms full of shopping. Now this boot, it's really big, it's really square. The capacity is 520 litres, which is about as big as it gets for this size of car. And there is no load lip, so you can just slide things straight out without hurting your back. Now if I just lift up this false floor, you'll see there's some little catches to hold it in place so that then I can mess around with stuff underneath here. As you can see, you can fit a space saver spare wheel if you wanted, but I don't think that if you then have that space saver, you're going to be able to lower this floor down to its lowest level. And you'll want to do that if you want to carry as much as you can in this car's boot. And with it in its lowest level, you can carry 7 of these underneath the load cover, which is pretty good. Now, if you want to carry much more stuff, you can fold down the rear seats like that. By the way, you can just do it from the boot by pulling these little levers. And then you might be thinking, Matt, no, we've got a big ridge there. Look, how are you going to slide things right to the front? Well, let's put this back up, don't I? Like that, it's all fine. Look, slidey, slidey, all the way to the front. So practical, this car. There's some other bits and pieces as well, look. You get 12-volt socket there, a couple of tie-down points here and here. And there's some other little pockets there where you can put some smaller items. Very practical boot. It's annoying really, because I now don't have a segue to talk about 5 annoying things about this car. So we'll just have to go with that. As with every bloody Peugeot, us Brits just get 1/3 of a usable glove box, because when Peugeot were moving the steering wheel across to the right, they couldn't be asked to move all this electrical gubbins with it. They're like, oh, you Brits, you can just suffer with a smaller glove box. That is our revenge for Napoleon. There's no separate runners or guides or holder for the rear seat belt, so when you fold the rear seats down, that just flops down there, and then you forget about it, you put the seat back up, and then it's all trapped, and it totally ruins your day. To stop the engine, you have to press the stop-start button a bit harder than you imagine you'd have to, so you think you could do it like that, look, like that, but you have to really give it a good off. There we go. To operate the climate control, there's just far too many button presses. You have to first press this button down here to bring up the menu on the screen and operate everything through the blooming screen. So fan, temperature, then if you want to sync the temperature, which you'd want to do if you're on your own, you then have to press this options button, then press this button, and it's too much. If you have the hybrid version of this car, then you have 120 litres less boot capacity because of all the batteries that obviously go underneath here somewhere.
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5.
You may notice there's no visible fog lamps on this car. That's because the fog beam is actually integrated into the main headlamps. It's really clever. The front passenger seat has Isofix anchor points, which is ideal if your baby constantly calls to ride shotgun. there's no one sat there and you want to give some VIP a lift, watch this, you can fold the seat down and then they can stretch out. Or they're in a limousine. Who needs a Mercedes S-Class? Check this out, this is the load cover, but will it fit underneath that false floor?
No, it won't fit, it won't fit.
Yeah, it will, yeah, look, trust me. It may look like a tight squeeze, and it probably is a very tight squeeze, but let's have a look. Come on, please shut down. Yes! The doors extend all the way down over the car's sill, so look, it always remains clean, so you won't get the backs of your trousers dirty when you slide into the car like that. Brilliant. This new 3008 gets Peugeot's latest auto emergency braking system, so it can spot cyclists and pedestrians and will auto brake for them at speeds between 3 and 86 miles an hour. Now that does raise two questions. Can you run over pedestrians and cyclists at 2 miles an hour, like really slowly to torture them? And anyway, 86 miles an hour, which pedestrians and cyclists are going that quick? Anyhow, the system will also work at night. Speaking of which, you can get this car with a special night vision system. You can't get it on any of its rivals, and it can actually see up the road at night 200 metres beyond the normal headlights. Cool. Let's run through the engine choices on the 3008. So, you can get a 1.2 litre turbo petrol with 131 horsepower, which is exactly what this car has. Then there's a 1.6 litre turbo petrol with 181 horsepower. Then there's a diesel, it's a 1.5 litre with 131 horsepower. And then there's two plug-in hybrids, so they use a 1.6 litre turbo petrol mated to an electric motor. There's one with 225 horsepower, which is front-wheel drive. Then there's one with two electric motors, so an extra electric motor on the rear axle, so it's four-wheel drive with 300 horsepower. But which one should you go for? Well, I'm configuring my ideal Peugeot 3008 with the carwow configurator, and I've got an offer back on that car. So click on the pop-out banner up there to see which I think is the best trim and engine combination of this car and the saving I've got for it from one of our trusted carwow dealers. Let's see what this Peugeot 3008 is like to drive. I'm going to start off with in town because that's what these cars are supposed to be good for. You've got that raised driving position to give you a better view out over other traffic. You don't sit dead high like in a proper off-road or SUV, but it's higher than a normal hatchback, which is good. Slight problem is this though. You get a massive pillar there, which does create a bit of a blind spot, and the back window is tiny. So that's a real pain when you're trying to maneuver or like pull out of junctions looking over your shoulder. I can't complain about this though. The turning circle on this car is pretty good, and the small steering wheel makes it dead easy to maneuver. It's really good for that, this small steering wheel. Some people won't like it. I do like it. Makes it easier to drive in town. So does the automatic gearbox fitted to this car, though to be fair, the manual is actually quite easy to use as well. It's not the slickest manual gearbox, but it's fine. Now, one thing about Peugeots that does annoy me a little bit, and it's the same with this car, the brakes can just be a little bit over-sensitive, so you touch the pedal and you're braking and the car behind you think they're going to smash into the back of you. You do get used to it once you've owned one for a few weeks, but it is just a little bit annoying the way you have to be very careful how hard you press that brake pedal. One thing this car does do very well is deal with bumps. The suspension's great over bumps. You don't really feel them. It's only when you hit like a really deep, nasty pothole that then you get this like banging sound from the suspension as it fires the wheel into like the pothole. That's the only time you really notice the suspension. Other than that, it's generally pretty blooming good. Yeah, it's good in town, this car. Right, let's see what this Peugeot 3008 is like on the motorway. This one has the 1.2 turbo petrol engine, which you might think is a little bit too puny, but actually it's not. Doing about 55 miles an hour, I'm going to floor it and overtake, and that's 70. This gearbox responded nice and quickly, and this engine, it's got enough pull, and it's reasonably economical as well. So I'm averaging 39 miles per gallon, which isn't bad in a tall car like this. And when you're cruising along the motorway, this car is absolutely fine. You do get a little bit of noise from the door mirrors, a bit from the tyres, but it's hardly anything. I've got lane keeping assist on, it's always engaged. So when I'm talking to camera and weaving about a bit, it's just steering to stop me going out of lane. This isn't the full all singing, all dancing cruise control, which will keep you a safe distance from the car in front and actually hook you up to the dead centre of the lane. It more just bounces you off the lines if you're not paying attention. It's just there to help you. Yeah, good car on the motorway, this. You don't need the diesel. You don't need the hybrid. Just get this one. Finally, let's see how this Peugeot copes with a twisty road. So I'm going to do something that most owners will never do, and that's put their car into sports mode. Makes the throttle a bit more responsive, the gearbox shifts a little bit quicker and adds a bit of weight to the steering. That's all it does. And then I'm going to put the gearbox in manual. Actually, these pedals are quite hard to hit because they're small. The sporty steering wheel makes you think, oh, it's going to be a sporty drive. And it's not terrible, but when you do push it a bit too hard in the corner, it does start to lean a bit and you run out of grip from the front tyres. But it's actually all right. I don't think many buyers of this car are actually going to be driving quite as quickly as I am down this kind of road. If you are into that kind of thing, I think you will be a bit better off with the SEAT Ateca. It just has a slightly sportier edge to it and is a bit more fun to drive if that's what you want from your smallish SUV. In fact, if you want to see my full in-depth video review of the SEAT Ateca, click on the pop-out banner up there. Now let's get out of sports mode and let's get out of manual mode. It's just silly. I drive this as it's going to be driven by most people, which is more relaxed. That's better. That's more 3008. Likes that better, don't you? Yeah. So then, what's my final verdict on the Peugeot 3008? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the 3008. So it might not quite be the best SUV in its class to drive or the most practical, but it's definitely pretty damn good and it's one of the best to look at, that's for sure. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. Also, let me know of some other videos you'd like to see in the comments below. If you'd like to watch some more videos, just click on the video windows there. And why don't you sign up to the new CarWow newsletter? All you have to do is click on that box there. It's completely free, and then we'll keep you up to date with all the latest new cars and reviews in between these video uploads. Thanks for watching.